Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Welcome Home Show. I'm Gina Romero, your host, author of the book Welcome Home, A Guide to Homemaking from the Heart. And today I have Lisa Radcliff with us. Lisa is a 10-year wife and mother of 3 boys, also a grandmother, and she is a Christian author and speaker for women's ministry events and goes around the country and ministers to Christian women. And her book is God is for Me, and it's a biblical character study of God's heart for the sexually harmed. So Lisa, welcome, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, my pleasure and privilege. So what prompted you to write the book?
Well, this particular book came from working with survivors of sexual abuse. The common theme that I heard from them was that they didn't think the Bible addressed sexual harm or that God didn't care about it. And I always said, oh, no, there's a lot in the Bible about sexual harm. And God's heart is evident in those stories. So that's where it came from. So I chose 9 of those stories from Scripture to bring out that it's there and what God's heart is for those women.
Yeah, because, the topic of sexual harm resonates with, I think, just about every woman, because if they haven't experienced it, they likely, you can bet money that they know someone who has, and that's so unfortunate. And so a big part of your ministry is prevention workshops for parents, which is, oh my gosh, so amazing and fabulous. And in those workshops, you share 10 things that every parent can do to keep their child safe from abuse. So before we get into that, you also talk about, in Scripture, Samaritan woman, and how she is a prime example of God's hand not being too short to save. Can you tell us a little bit about how the Samaritan woman in that story is interwoven in and connects with your book and your work?
When we think about sexual harm, we think about the victim, and that would be a right thing to do, and we have a lot of those in the book. But then there are some other characters, like the Samaritan woman. We don't know what her backstory is. We don't know how she ended up having 5 husbands. It would not have been an easy thing during that time. A woman couldn't divorce her husband. It had to come from the husband. So was she divorced 5 times? And why was that? Did she marry 5 husbands? We just don't know what happened to this woman. But we do know that there's a lot of shame involved in her life. We know that the man she was with was not her husband. There's a lot of speculation that she came to the well at that time of day because no one else would have been there. So that she was, not ridiculed by the other townspeople. So that's why that story is in the book, because although we don't know what kind of harm she might have experienced, we can assume that there was something there. Of course, Jesus knew and showed up at just the right time to have that conversation with her and turned the shame that she had into something that glorified him. At the end of that story, or in the middle of the story, really, she goes into the town that we assume she's trying to avoid and tells everyone about Jesus and that he told her everything she had ever done. And again, we don't know what that was. But apparently the townspeople knew too. So there's some story there that we're not really sure of, but we are sure that there is some sort of sexual harm aspect to it.
Yeah, the ancient world was very, very rough, and slavery was very real. We know from Scripture. And even how the Jews regarded Jesus, because he didn't come in there on the big stallion with the military-esque parade, which was the custom of the day, and you would have your captives of the village or the kingdom you had conquered trailing along behind, and they'd be sold into slavery, and it was a huge event for these civilizations. And so yeah, there is some ambiguity certainly in that story, but we know what we need to know from it.
Right.
That's great.
Yes, and what we need to know is that Jesus showed her grace.
And mercy, yeah.
Yes, and that's the heart we're seeing, is his grace and mercy in that story, and how we can then apply that to other women who may have experienced similar circumstances.
Absolutely. Yeah, so my ministry is to Christian wives and mothers, and this workshop that you offer with 10 things every parent can do to keep their child safe from abuse. I'd love to get into that with you a little bit.
Okay.
Have you share what that is.
Okay, well, and there's probably more than 10. I had to round it off somewhere, so we did 10. But there's some very simple things that any parent could do that could go a long way in keeping their child from being abused. So some of the highlights. Now, I should also say that this comes from my own experience of experiencing sexual abuse and overcoming that and trying to help parents. These are the things. These things are important. So it's some really simple things like no one touches your child where their bathing suit covers. You need to teach your child that, unless it's a doctor who you should be in the presence of when that happens, then no one else should be touching them there. You need to talk about body parts using their right name. We like to create cute little names,
Yes, we do.
Body parts. But we have to be sure that the child understands what they are. And unfortunately, that's because if they would ever have to share that information with, let's say, a police officer, everybody needs to understand what the word is and what that means. And we just need to treat it like any other body part. It's just another body part. It's the name for it. So use the proper name for it.
That's really timely for me because I have a almost 3-year-old at the time of this recording. She turns 3 on Monday, and so this would be good because we speak English and Spanish in my house.
Okay.
So we'll have, imagine the euphemisms
Yeah.
times 2 in
Yeah, right.
different languages. But I love, in particular, this first one. I don't know that we've started. My husband. Oh my gosh, my husband is so. God bless him. He has so pleasantly surprised me with his just protectiveness over her and things like that. And so, I think that he has kind of, he had, so my son is 11 now, but I met him, he had just turned 4. And so my husband has the experience of also having had a 0 to 4-year-old that I don't have. I'm going through it the first time in that age range right now. And so he's kind of started that work, but that's perfect. Don't let anyone touch you where your bathing suit covers, because those are your private areas. Love that. I can do that.
Yeah, see how simple that was? That's why I say these are simple things, but they can make a big difference. Big difference. Another one is change your language in one word. Instead of using the word secrets, use surprises. And that's because abusers use secrets. Everything's done in secret. They tell children to keep things a secret. If they tell, they'll be in trouble. Those kind of things. So if we just change, like you're getting a birthday present for dad. Don't say, let's keep it a secret. It's a secret. Let's say it's a surprise, because surprises are going to be known at some point, where secrets are always going to be held. So it's a very simple switch. Just switch that one word in your vocabulary, secrets to surprises. Again, a very simple thing, just a flip in your mind there when you're talking about it.
Yeah, well, I think it was Aristotle that said so succinctly, words matter. That words do matter. So that is the not only the most proper use of the word in that example, but also has this additional thing, because personally, having not been through sexual harm myself, I don't know what that experience is like, and I am sure that it differs so vastly for those who have been victim to it. And so the one common thing is secrecy. And you're right, I would never think of that and think of the mindset or the tactics of an abuser.
Yeah.
Just like with criminal activity, I can't get there in my mind.
And we're so happy that you don't know criminal. You don't think that way. But unfortunately, that is like my number 9 on the list, is understand grooming tactics. And as much as we don't want to do that, and we probably don't have time in this podcast to go through all of them, but understand what grooming is, what predators do to groom your child. Because they don't just groom their child, they groom you too.
Can you elaborate a little on that? What is that like?
You know, in my little PowerPoint that I would do with this, I have these pictures that said it's unfortunately predators don't look like this, and it's some really shaggy looking, you know, sketchy guy. They look like this, and it's just a normal looking person, and that's the problem. Families, really, children and their parents, and the way that they do that is they look and act like everyone else. They sound like everyone else. So churches are hotbeds for this because churches want to be very welcoming. We want to welcome in everybody, and that's okay. That's what we're supposed to do. But we're a little too quick to believe everyone and everyone's story. And predators will come into a church and they'll speak that language. They know those Christian words. They know how to weave a testimony, all that kind of stuff. So they look just like the rest of us, and they seem harmless. But what are the things that would give us pause? Say, wait a minute. Do they spend way too much time with just the kids and no adults? Are they offering to do things alone with children? Picking someone up, taking someone home from an activity.
Or to the bathroom or something.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Kids have to go, all right, let's form a line, everybody.
Alone. Those kinds of things. And it's unfortunate because the things you see in really good children's workers and youth ministry workers happen to be the same kind of things you'll see in predators because they're trying to get, and that's how I say they groom the parents and the church leaders too. They want to appear safe. They want to appear that they have your best interest at hand. They want to appear like they're completely harmless. And so that's what makes it so hard. What they do, if they're giving children gifts, the secrets, you know, they will definitely tell a child, they'll do something. Maybe they'll watch it, they'll do a video game or something like that their parents might not normally let them see. Or they'll show them something on their phone that a parent normally wouldn't let them see, and they'll say, no, don't tell anyone. This is our secret. If they see that child will keep that secret, then they will advance to other secrets. And by the time the child figures out they're in trouble with what's going on here, they feel like they can't tell their parents now because they've not told them all these other things. And they're constantly being reinforced by the predator that they're going to be in trouble. The kid, you know, the child will be in trouble if they tell. So, yes, that's a whole thing. It takes a while to go through all of that. I'm sorry to just hit you with some of these things, but yeah, it's hard.
Oh, this is great. Yeah, I mean, moms are listening to this podcast in the carpool line to pick up their kids, or you know, going to and from work. I mean, this is the real life that we need, and to be vigilant to protect our children. How do they groom the families or the adults?
They are helpful to you. They'll say, "Hey, I see you've got 3 other little kids here in different things. How about I pick up Susie or bring her home for you?" They'll do things that are helpful. They'll be the person that's always there, that you can count on to, you know, I don't know, stack the chairs after church and do the whatever the things are. And they just make themselves likable, very, very likable, very charismatic. They want you to accept them to the point that you would never believe something horrible about them. So that's their goal. And whatever they have to do to get parents and leadership to say, oh no, that's a good guy, he would never.
Yeah.
That's what they'll do.
Okay.
So
that was number 9, right?
That was number 9. Number 10, we'll start with number 10. I missed a few in there somewhere, but we can go back. But number 10, because it's the most important and we don't want to miss it, is always believe your child. Children do not want to tell you these things happen. So if your child says they are uncomfortable with someone, or something happened, someone touched me, somebody did something, made me uncomfortable, believe them. Children's reports of abuse are almost always true. It's like a 0.01% or something that are not true, and those are almost always older children who are in the middle of a custody battle. Almost always.
Oh, interesting.
And they're being influenced by a parent, one way or the other, to say certain things. Younger children, they don't really always understand what's going on. It's so hard for them to tell someone. So when they do, believe them. So that's it. Okay, so if we back up.
Yeah, I think did we do 1 and 2? I think
so some of the, let's see. Let's see. We did bathing suit. We did body parts.
And
We
then, yes, by
did,
their rightful name, yeah. Yeah,
uh,
I mean, I'm
I
like a
know.
sponge. This is amazing.
We didn't. I know one we didn't do. Another flip your thinking, like secrets and surprises. Read. I don't know if you're old enough to remember this, but do you remember Stranger Danger?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Stranger Danger. Not real helpful.
yeah, yeah.
Sure, teach your kids to be careful around strangers and don't get in cars with them and take candy and
Yes.
all the things that they might do. But well over 90% of all abuse, sexual abuse, is committed by someone the child knows and knows well, someone they have a relationship with. So rather than teaching your child stranger danger, teach them what strangers would be the safest if they needed help. For instance, if you're at the park, a mom with her own kids is a safe person. Okay? Someone in a uniform is probably a safe person. Those kind of things. So you need to teach your kids, rather than all strangers are bad, scary, and don't go near them, teach them what to look for in a stranger if they need help.
Okay, yeah, that's so
Okay?
good. I think we had a VHS tape of Stranger Danger.
You probably did.
And then I think we watched an episode once, and then yeah, I actually remember it quite vividly now. But yes, it was about like the van and the
Yep,
candy, and
yep.
yeah, you are accessing in my mind something I have not thought about in over 30 years.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean
Oh
that
yeah,
stuff happens because that's the stuff that makes the news, but that's
right,
because it is so rare and
right,
usually way out there. More
yeah.
often than not, that child's being abused by somebody close to them
Oh my gosh, that has access.
that has
That has
access. Access is
access.
the most important thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Power and access.
Okay.
So let's see. Well, I've lost track, but what else do we teach?
I'm sorry, Lisa.
That's okay. It'll all come back to me eventually. I should have had notes in front of me. I didn't. Anyway, so the other things, your child should always have autonomy over their body. And that means they get to decide who can hug them, who can kiss them, who can touch them in any way. If they're not comfortable with, Aunt whoever giving them a great big hug, I don't know, maybe she smells weird. I don't know what it is. But if they don't want to do that, then they should be allowed to say no. They should always have the right to say no when it comes to physical touch.
Okay.
So give them that ability and let your family members know, look, if they don't want to hug, please don't.
Yeah.
That's their choice. Eventually they will, probably.
Yeah.
But, that's their choice. And then
Okay.
along,
And not as it, just to clarify, and not
yeah,
as it pertains to the parents when it's okay, I'm going to remove you from this location now.
right,
We're
right, yeah,
out.
no,
Yeah.
not that.
Yeah. But that's wonderful with others that
Yeah,
and to be mindful and to use that phrasing with your
yeah,
children that you have the right to decide who you hug and who
yep,
who
yep.
picks you up and that
And
kind of thing. Yeah.
you just need to let grandma and grandpa know you're going to be doing that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when they come in and they're like, oh, give grandma a hug, and they walk away, you're like,
Right.
May
Oh
I
my
said
gosh,
give
that's
grandma a
so
hug.
funny.
You just can't,
Yeah.
we don't want to force kids to do that. And
Yeah.
I know because I'm grandma of 9 grandchildren. So
Oh, I didn't know it was
occasionally,
9, Lisa.
yeah,
That's quite.
occasionally I get the rejected hug,
Yes.
but
Yes.
not
Oh.
very often. So it's up to
Yeah.
them, and they'll come around.
Yeah. Yeah. They can be in a mood and all of
Yep,
that. Yeah.
yep. So it'll be fine, but just to let them know that it's up to them. Or sometimes there's somebody that just makes them uncomfortable, and we don't know why, and it's okay because who knows what's going on in those little tiny brains
Yeah. I
sometimes.
know.
But it's up to you. If you let them know it's okay. If you're uncomfortable, you don't have to do this. That takes a lot of the pressure off of them. So yeah, the parents can be the heroes there and just say, no, that's okay. You don't have to
Yeah.
do that. But along with that, if someone would harm them in some way or they are uncomfortable to the point they are scared, we should teach them a little phrase. Now, I'm going to test your memory again, see if you did this too. Do you know what to do if you are all of a sudden on fire?
Stop, drop, and roll.
There you go. You've got a little phrase. Stop, drop, and roll. How often do you think children catch on fire?
Yeah. Right.
Unfortunately, children are abused at the rate of 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 6 boys
Oh my
before the age of 18. So we need to teach them a little phrase, and it's very simple. It's we're going to say, let me see, remember how I did this. Yell, no, tell. So we want them to
Okay.
yell, not scream crazy because, we all ignore that, which,
Yeah.
but yell, say no. That's what they're yelling. No, and tell. Run away and tell someone what happened. And if
Yes.
the first person doesn't listen, tell someone else. Keep telling until you get to somebody who will listen.
Okay.
That's what you're going to tell it. Yell, no, tell. Or yell,
Okay.
run, tell. Either one.
Yeah.
Yell, run, tell. That's what it is.
Okay. I took a women's self-defense course. I've actually taken, I think, two in my life, but I took one within the last like 5 years or so. And the word no was used that I don't know, I don't remember what the reasoning was for
Mhm.
that, but there's something about using the word no
Yeah.
that if you feel that you're, so in this particular example, it was like, say you're walking to your car in a shopping center parking lot and you
Mhm.
feel that if someone is following you, the advice given was to stop, turn around, put your hand out at arm's length with your palm out
Mhm.
and yell no.
Yep.
Uh,
For some reason, that will get people's attention.
yeah,
If you like, that's why I say don't just tell them to just scream like crazy because
yeah,
nobody pays attention to that. It's like when car alarms were new and people paid
yes,
attention, and then all of a
yes,
sudden you just don't
no,
anymore.
yes,
So
exactly.
kids screaming won't pays attention. But if they yell no, that word no gets people to look around like something's wrong. When somebody
Yes,
says no
yes,
loudly, something is wrong. So that's why you say yell
exactly.
no and then run away. You do not have to stay in that
Yeah,
situation and then tell someone. So the other thing that we recommend for kids, this isn't in the 10 things, but for kids is the a hand like this with 5 things,
okay, okay,
and they draw a hand and then
yeah,
write 5 names of 5 safe people in their life. And those are the people that they would go to tell if they had to tell them something hard like
that's
this.
great. That's great. I love that. These are such excellent ideas. I can't wait to start doing them with my little one.
I think we may have hit all 10 in some sort of crazy order. I don't know. I'll go back and listen to this. Hit all 10.
Yeah, yeah, those are great.
So the
Yeah.
other thing I do talk about in that presentation is technology, because you can't
Mm,
really talk about child safety without talking about technology, but that in itself can also be an hour-long discussion. So what I tell parents, just the thing to remember is anything connected is connected to everything. You might not think it is, but it
it
is. If it's
is.
connected to the internet, it is
Yeah,
connected to everything.
got it. Okay. Yeah, do you have any tips on online safety for parents?
Try to keep your children from having a cell phone, a smartphone, for as long as possible. Most kids are seeing pornography now. The average age now is nine. And parents are like, well, my child doesn't have a phone. No, but all the
Their
kids on the bus
cousin
do.
does.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep, everyone
yeah.
else does. That's one of the ways that predators, that's one of the things predators will use against children. They may have them watch something, they may take videos of them, and then they actually will use that as blackmail. I'm going to tell your parents, I'm going to show this to your parents, we're going to put this on the internet if you
Mm,
don't. And that's become pretty common. The other thing is, I won't say most, the number of juvenile predators now, and I hate to call them that, we'll say juvenile offenders now is over 60% of all sexual abuse is by underage children. And that is directly connected to their access to pornography. Pornography is the biggest contributor to abuse in any age group. But in the younger age group, absolutely it is. The good news is the kids that are involved in that and abuse and are caught, they have over a 94% chance or success rate of not abusing again. They have to have someone tell them that's not okay. It's not that for adults. It's a very small percentage that actually stop abusing. For children, there is great hope that because we can't only talk to victims because there's so many kids out there who are abusing other children, and that could be your child too,
Oh
unfortunately,
my
you know.
gosh. Yeah,
So we
there are
want to minister to,
babysitters or
oh yeah,
boyfriends of babysitters or
we want to be able to
wow.
minister to them too. We have hope for all these kids, whether they're victims, whether they're offenders. God's arm is not too short to save, as we talked about it with the woman at the well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he can turn all of this around. We always, because people always ask me at the end of these presentations where I do the, 10 things and we talk about all of this for over an hour, parents say, well, what if we do everything right and this still happens? And I always remind them that I am an example of when it all went sideways, but look what happened. Look what God did. If this happens in your child's life, then it is within God's plan for them to experience this, and somehow he will use this in their life for good.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But
He
they're
turns
gonna
all things for good. Yeah.
but they're gonna need a lot of support in that process
Yeah.
and understanding and all of that. And parents are the key in all this. Parents are always the key in these things.
Wow, it's true. As I've gotten more and more into my ministry work with Welcome Home and working with Christian wives and mothers, that is something that a truth that becomes more and more and more clear to me, that no matter what negative thing has occurred, God will use it for good.
Yeah.
And you can bless others with your story, no matter what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing of that is going back to the idea of secrets, is that the enemy loves secrets, and
Yeah.
he loves to keep you in the pit of secrets.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how he isolates you from the rest of the flock, and that is how
Yeah.
he is able to poison your mind and have his way
Mm-hmm.
with you. And so getting out
Yeah,
is
for sure. I use in the new book, I use Ephesians 5 a lot, where Paul is talking to the church and he's saying, you shouldn't be any part of this, which unfortunately the church has been in the past, but rather than participating in deeds of darkness, it's called, rather than participating in it, expose it.
Yes.
And that's a big part of the role of the church in all of this, is exposing sin and calling it what it is and upholding victims and all the things.
Yeah. What was that scripture reference again? Ephesians.
It comes from Ephesians 5. I think that's somewhere around verse 11.
Okay. Yeah, I want to look that up. Yeah, and your book, God is For Me, is available on Amazon and everywhere books are sold.
Yes.
Lisa, thank you so much for being with us today.
You are very welcome anytime.
That's wonderful. Yes, I would love to have you on the show again and share more. You are a fountain of excellent information. You are such a blessing. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Gina.
You bet. All right, everyone. Like I always like to say, bye for now.